The flames rolled over like crazy, the scorching air caused skin to burn painfully, and people inside the room screamed and fled. Outside, thick smoke billowed, and orange-red flames shot out from the windows of the house. Even a slight touch to the skin would get scorched. Shen Liguang quickly arrived at the scene of the fire, where numerous young men and women dressed in ancient costumes scattered in panic. Wu Xiaowu explained, "There's a group of Hanfu enthusiasts gathered here, and it seems the fire was accidentally caused during their activities." Shen Liguang was checking his fireproof suit while asking, "Is the power cut off?" Wu Xiaowu nodded, "It's cut off." Shen Liguang said, "Xiao Wu, you go disperse the crowd. Qianjing and I will go inside to rescue people, others stay outside to fight the fire." "Yes. Firefighter uncle." At this moment, a boy grabbed Shen Liguang in a panic, so frightened he couldn't speak properly. "There are still people inside, my boss is still in there." "I know, I will get her out safely." Shen Liguang calmed the boy's emotions. After completing checks, he grabbed his gear and quickly entered the building. There were no flammable materials inside, so the fire did not spread very quickly. Qianjing had already led the trapped people to safety, while Shen Liguang continued to stay and search for any remaining trapped people. The fire inside the building grew bigger, as if ready to devour someone. Just as he was about to turn around thinking no one was there, a faint moan came from the corner behind him. "Save me!" Shen Liguang turned back, flipped open a wall panel, and a girl in ancient costume, having lost her strength, fell at his feet. "Save me!" Tears streaked the girl's young face. Shen Liguang rapidly bent down and lifted the girl in his arms. Fu Ying's consciousness was blurry. In her daze, she felt someone lifting her. She tried hard to open her eyes and saw a strangely dressed man before her. He wore a hood, so his face was indistinguishable. All she could sense were his eyes, cold and serene as a deep pool. "Thank you, young master." Fu Ying murmured weakly, then completely lost consciousness. That title made Shen Liguang frown briefly, before quickly carrying her away from the blaze. A month later, Fu Ying was dressed in a blue and white school uniform, standing at the entrance of Mingyang Third Middle School, uneasily holding her bag strap as she watched the bustling crowd. In the palace, she had never seen so many people, only a few palace maids and eunuchs accompanied her daily. Suddenly having to interact with so many people made her feel lost and bewildered. Fu Mingchuan, worried about her, repeatedly cautioned, "Don't cause trouble, do not fight with classmates, do not scold the teachers. I do not want to be called to the school again." The girl was gentle and obediently nodded her head. Seeing his daughter behaving so obediently gave Fu Mingchuan an illusion. He always felt she was pretending to be good. The moment he left, she would show her wild, unruly nature. Fu Yan, as the older brother, keep an eye on your sister. Fu Yan frowned unhappily, "I'm in college, she's in high school. How can I keep an eye on her? Am I supposed to run over next door to see if she's causing trouble?" Fu Ying blinked her eyes, speaking with a soft Wu dialect, "Dad, I'll be good." Fu Mingchuan felt oddly touched, unsure if she was pretending, but this obedience was his first time seeing such behavior from her. Fu Mingchuan kindly patted Fu Ying's head, "All right, good girl, go on in." Did the injury affect her brain? Fu Yan muttered as he shook off his clothes and sauntered to the neighboring college. "Hey brat, don't talk about your sister like that." "Ying, don't listen to his nonsense," Fu Mingchuan chastised. Fu Mingchuan pulled out a pack of orange-flavored candies wrapped in colorful transparent paper from his pocket and stuffed it into her bag. "Go in. Dad will pick you up in the evening." Fu Ying nodded and turned towards the school building. As people looked her way, she timidly lowered her head and walked in. Fortunately, she still retained memories of the place, otherwise, she couldn't even find her classroom. Fu Ying entered class 5 of the first grade. Her seat was at the very back. After a while, a teacher entered. A middle-aged man wearing glasses, surnamed Tan and named Ruonian, their math teacher, immediately began checking the holiday homework. When it came to Fu Ying, she nervously pulled out her pristine holiday homework. Tan Ruonian looked at her skeptically, probably guessing she hadn't done it. This wealthy girl, so hard to manage. He flipped through it casually, and Tan Ruonian's face turned green, not a single word written. "Were you even too lazy to write your name?" What did you do all holiday, Fu-ying? I fly kites in the Imperial Palace. I don't know if you'll believe me. Bring your father here. Tomorrow. Don't. Fu-ying blushed and felt embarrassed in front of everyone. No one had ever dared to treat her like this. Even her grand tutor had never treated her this way. Fu-ying's face was burning hot. Teacher, don't call my dad. He's old and can't handle the shock. Fu-ying's demeanor surprised Tan Ruonian. In the past, Fu-ying would definitely have stiffened her neck and said, call him if you want, I'm not scared, and would never have seemed as frightened as she was now. His expression softened slightly. Now you know fear. What were you doing earlier? What were you doing during winter break? You didn't write a single word of your homework. I must call your parents. I need to have a good talk with your dad. It's already the second term of first grade, soon it will be second and third grade, you won't even get into college this way. Although every profession produces its masters, think about it, you're a 16 or 17-year-old kid, what can you do without studying? Get a job? Who would want you? Do you think working is easier than studying? Fu-ying lowered her head, embarrassed and wanting to find a crack to crawl into. Teacher. A boy next to Fu-ying stood up, gave his own written math homework to Tan Ruonian. Take the wrong one, the one that wasn't written is mine, this one is hers. Tan Ruonian frowned and took the homework with suspicion. The title page had a name on it, Lihani. Lihani, do you think the teacher is stupid? Whose name is this? Is it yours? If you want to fool the teacher, at least erase the name. Tan Ruonian angrily threw the homework back, and said to Fu-ying, if you had written it, even if you didn't know how and left it blank, I wouldn't have said anything. Fu-ying, I don't know any of it. Tan Ruonian. I've taught everything, and still, you say you don't know. Tan Ruonian, furious, bring your father here tomorrow. Fu-ying clutched her fingers. No wonder Fu Mingchuan had warned her this morning, saying he didn't want to be called to school. She hadn't expected that, on her first day at school, she would be asked to bring her parent. Just the first day of school, and without having classes, each teacher came to check the homework. They basically knew Fu-ying hadn't done it, and knew that Tan Ruonian had asked to call her parent, so they didn't say anything. They also handed out a lot of textbooks. She flipped through them, completely clueless. Fu-ying leaned on the desk, looking out of the window at the blue sky, unable to muster any energy. Why was she here? This story starts a month ago. That day, foreign emissaries arrived, and Father Emperor was deeply worried, often hesitating as he looked at her, powerless. During a banquet, she accidentally overheard the foreign emissaries discussing marriage alliances. Fu-ying tensed up, realizing that Father Emperor showed a look of helplessness towards her. The Empress Mother did not want to send her away in marriage. She hurriedly packed up overnight, planning to sneak her out of the palace, but her movements were hasty, and she accidentally knocked over an oil lamp. Later, Isan Palace caught fire, and when she awoke, she was here. For half a month after she woke up from the hospital, everyone looked at her strangely. The reason was, her personality was completely different from the Fu-ying who originally lived here. Luckily, she retained the memories of this place. Fu-ying played with a pen, lowered her head, and sketched the firefighter who had saved her and helped her escape the inferno on paper. She thought back, but could only sketch the outline of his headgear from memory. Boss. Her desk mate Lihani pushed her. Boss? Only then did Fu-ying realize he was calling her. Fu-ying turned around, not knowing when, several boys had gathered behind her. It startled her. Lihani, boss, why are you acting so timid? You're usually not like this. Diong, yeah, why are you afraid of Tan Ruonian? You normally would have dealt with him. The boys said it with a fierce look on their faces. Fu-ying's brain slowly processed, realizing these were the original Fu-ying's minions here. Lihani, my gosh, boss, what's with that look? You don't recognize us anymore? Fire accident, burnt your brain, lost your memory? The boys' remarks grew more and more absurd. Burnt your brain, and then amnesia, your brain damaged? That's hilarious to me. The boys kept talking, bantering back and forth. Fu-ying thought, they must have a lot of ideas. She quietly asked, what if the parents don't have time to come to school? That's tough, Tamruonian knows each parent's phone number. Just find anyone to come to the school, how hard can it be? Find someone randomly. Fu Ying thought as she walked out of the school. Fu Yan was already waiting impatiently at the high school entrance. Upon seeing her, he frowned. What took you so long? I've been waiting for ages. Brother, Fu Ying was about to say that she had been called to a parent meeting. But before she could speak, someone came over, smiled at her, and said, Fu Yan, so this is your little drama queen sister, huh? Looks pretty obedient, like a little Lolita. Fu Yan ignored the person, stuffed his jacket into her hands, and said, wait here for Dad, I'm not going back first. Where are you going then? Fu Yan raised an eyebrow, his tone extremely irritable. None of your business, worry about your own pretty boy issues. With Fu Yan's jacket in her hands, she had no choice but to sit alone at the bus stop by the road and wait. She took out paper and a pen from her backpack, trying hard to remember what that firefighter uncle looked like. She was dazed that day and didn't get a clear look. In the end, she wrote down the words hero next to the drawing. After a while, Fu Mingchuan arrived. Fu Ying packed away the paper and pen into her backpack, got up ready to walk over, but bumped into someone as she turned around. Shen Liguang bit down on his cigarette, his head lowered, giving a sideways glance at the little girl in front of him. Fu Ying was stunned. Looking up at him. He was so tall. If he were in the imperial palace, he would definitely be a general. Having waited a while without an apology, Shen Liguang pinched the cigarette in his hand, and smilingly said, little girl, you should apologize when you bump into someone. Only then did Fu Ying realize, and while pinching the edge of her school uniform, she inclined her body towards Shen Liguang, young master. Shen Liguang raised his intonation, smiling. Young master? What a unique way to address someone. She must be a quirky one. Oh no, I mean, brother, sorry, I didn't see you behind me. Fu Ying hurriedly corrected herself. The moment she got nervous, she had forgotten that's not how people are addressed here. Shen Liguang glanced at the number 7 bus that had stopped, put out his cigarette, and told Fu Ying, be more careful next time. And then he boarded the bus. After the bus left, Fu Mingchuan parked his car in front of her. Seeing Fu Ying alone, Fu Mingchuan frowned and asked, where's your brother? Fu Ying thought of how Fu Yan had been fierce to her, blinked her black eyes looking particularly harmless. Dad, he asked me to tell you to mind your own business about pretty boys. Sure enough, Fu Mingchuan got angry. That rascal, not causing anything but trouble all day. Your eldest brother will be home tonight, and he's still out running wild. Let's see how I deal with him when he comes back tonight. After Fu Mingchuan vented, Fu Ying hesitated whether to tell him about being called to see the head teacher or not. Fu Ying hung her head, her slender fingers tightly clutching at her clothes. Suddenly, Fu Mingchuan asked her, how was the first day of school? Didn't cause trouble for Dad, did you? No trouble, it went well. Fu Mingchuan felt relieved. That's good, Daddy will reward you when we get home. Lately, I've noticed you watching lots of loot videos on your phone, so Daddy bought one for you. Hearing Fu Mingchuan say this, Fu Ying was even more unsure of how to tell him. This dad, he's even better to her than Father Emperor. When it was almost time for dinner, Nanny Wu called Fu Ying downstairs, and only then did she notice that her eldest brother Fu Yi had come back. She had been here for a month, and only saw Fu Yi once when he visited the hospital, and he never came back after that. He and Fu Yan were the same, neither liked her much. Fu Ying's thoughts wandered as she sat down at the dinner table, her knee bumping against the table, causing the tableware to shake. Suddenly a hand reached out to stabilize the hot soup that was about to spill. Fu Ying raised her little head and met a pair of smiling eyes. She recognized him. Yes, it was the brother from the bus station. Fu Yi looked up and asked Shen Liguang, you didn't get scalded, did you? Only then did Fu Ying realize that the whole bowl of hot soup had spilled over his hand. His hand was scalded red, yet his face bore no expression, as if it didn't hurt at all. He took out a tissue and wiped it off. It's okay. So, he was acquainted with his brother. Fu Mingchuan, looking at Shen Liguang with immense gratitude, said, Liguang, thanks to you for what happened to Ying last time. I've always wanted to thank you in person, but you never had the time. Today I finally managed to invite you over. Ying, hurry and thank your brother Li Guang. Blinking, Fu Ying suddenly realized that the man beside her was her lifesaver. She stood up, not knowing how to express her gratitude for being saved, so she politely bowed to Shen Liguang. Thank you for saving my life. Shen Liguang's eyes curved. You're welcome. Fu Mingchuan said with a smile, Liguang, don't be shy with your first meal at our home, make yourself at home. Shen Liguang nodded politely, thank you, Uncle Fu. Fu Mingchuan was in a good mood, laughing, let's eat, don't be shy. When Fu Ying was at the imperial palace, the empress taught her to eat quietly. She lowered her head and ate her food as quietly as a cat without making any noise. They chatted at the dinner table while she listened silently. From the conversation, she learned that this brother's name was Shen Liguang, and like her elder brother, he was a firefighter. He and her elder brother had been friends for years, with a very solid relationship. Her silence at the table, however, drew Shen Liguang's attention. He watched her fluffy little head buried in the bowl and couldn't help but find it amusing. Aren't you the one who said your sister was too lively? She seems pretty quiet to me. Fu Yi glanced up and took a brief look at Fu Ying. Who knows? Perhaps she's pretending? Fu Ying. Fu Mingchuan, not pleased, defended his treasured daughter. Nonsense, your sister has always been a lady. Fu Ying listened to the faint laughter beside her, her little face blushed. She was always like this. Not pretending. Please, say no more. Fu Ying didn't tell Fu Mingchuan about her teacher's request to see her parents. It wasn't that she didn't dare, it was because there were outsiders present. After dinner, Shen Liguang followed Fu Yi to his room, while Fu Mingchuan returned with a delicate box secretively. Ying, this is a gift from Dad. Fu Mingchuan opened a beautifully decorated box, revealing a lovely lute inside. Fu Mingchuan felt that his daughter had changed, she never used to be interested in such ladylike things. This change started a month ago when he kept Fu Ying under house arrest. The little girl took a liking to Hanfu for some reason, joining her friends for Hanfu enthusiast meetings. A fire broke out that night, and when she was rescued, she was already not breathing. Thankfully, after being resuscitated, the child was saved. Now, thinking back, Fu Mingchuan still felt a chill, wondering how he would face his wife at her grave if something had truly happened to their daughter. The child had also recovered well. Even her personality changed. Dad, my teacher wants me to invite you. Fu Ying, holding the lute, attempted to bring up the parent-teacher meeting. Fu Mingchuan's phone rang. Dad has to take a call, we'll talk later if there's anything. Fu Ying nodded, obediently and quietly waiting for Fu Mingchuan to finish his call. But as soon as he hung up, he hastily said to her, I have to step out for a bit, I'll ask Nanny Wu to stay with you at home. The parent meeting was left unsaid. Fu Ying turned around with the lute to go back to her room when she saw the brother leaning on the windowsill at the end of the corridor. He was wearing black silk pajamas, tall and lean, with the moonlight outside casting upon his face. The tips of his brows raised slightly, like a bandit king atop a mountain. Fu Ying couldn't help but step forward, moving closer to him. Brother, big brother. Shen Liguang lowered his head and stared at the little girl. She wasn't tall, quite short in fact, with a bun on her head, standing upright, a quiet and well-behaved young lady from a respectable family. Her eyes were pitch black and sparkling with clarity, harmless, blinking like stars. Holding a lute in his arms, Shen Liguang thought of the antique beauty he observed when he rescued her from the fire. She did not resemble the wild creature Fu Yi described, but more like a gentle and well-behaved young lady confined in the inner chambers. Seeing Shen Liguang staring at her without speaking, Fu Ying's face turned red and she said softly while looking at his reddened back of the hand, Brother, big brother, just now, thank you, your hand. It took her half a day to finish a sentence, and Shen Liguang couldn't help but let out a gentle chuckle. Are you stuttering? No, I'm not. Fu Ying licked her lips, slightly nervous. Shen Liguang chuckled and nodded, then take your time. Fu Ying held the lute tightly, looking down with her soft face and put effort into speaking clearly, Big brother, just now, thank you for blocking the hot soup for me. Is your hand okay? Now you're calling me brother? During the day at the bus stop, you were calling young master. Hearing him say that, Fu Ying's face turned red all of a sudden. Young master. Shen Liguang suddenly remembered, when he rescued the girl, she had whispered something faintly. Now thinking back, it must have been, "Thank you, young master." Shen Liguang licked his lips, amused by this special address, and smiled. "Watching too many historical dramas, perhaps? Is there something wrong?" His voice was tinged with laughter. Fu Ying said quietly, with embarrassment, "I came to apologize to you. It really wasn't intentional, I just accidentally bumped into the table." Shen Liguang stared at the girl's flushed face and seriously said, "You need to compensate me." Shen Liguang was just teasing the young girl, but who knew she took it seriously. "How should I compensate? I have some money? Is that okay, big brother?" His voice carried a laughing tone, and Fu Ying always felt that his words were half serious, half joking. "How much are you planning to compensate me?" "I have 50. That's not enough." "Then how much do you want?" Shen Liguang thought for a moment and smiled roguishly, "At least a few hundred." "That much?" Fu Ying blinked her tea-colored eyes and gripped the lute tighter. "That's too much. Medical fees, emotional distress damages, lost wages, food expenses, add them all up, a few hundred, not much." Fu Ying listened and frowned slightly. "That much? MHM, it's not enough just to talk, you need to provide the money." He had a cigarette in his mouth, and his way of asking for money did not seem very proper. Fu Ying said with slight embarrassment, "Big brother, can we have a discount?" "A discount?" Shen Liguang chuckled lightly, "I'm thinking of discounting you in a bit." Fu Ying bit her lip, bowing her head. "I don't have money." Shen Liguang paused. "Then what do you have that can compensate?" Fu Ying immediately took out 50 yuan from her pocket and a piece of candy, opening her palm and extending it in front of Shen Liguang. Shen Liguang gazed at the money and candy in her small palm and lightly chuckled. Trying to bribe a kid with these things in a transaction with him? Seeing that he did not take it, Fu Ying explained in a low voice, "This candy is really tasty, orange-flavored." The candy in the palm of the child's hand was wrapped in a transparent colored wrapper and sparkled brilliantly under the moonlight. Fu Ying looked at him, waiting for him to take the candy from her palm. But then, Fu Ying suddenly came over, pinched the candy from her hand, and thanked her. "Thank you, little sister. Big brother also likes orange-flavored candy." Fu Ying. Shen Liguang's face showed regret as he watched the bewildered little girl and said with a smile, "Without the candy, the compensation has failed." "What compensation?" Fu Ying raised his eyebrows, looking at Fu Ying. "Did she cheat money from you?" Fu Ying. Fu Ying used to have a bad temperament and was disliked by her two older brothers. Causing trouble, vain, rebellious, skipping classes, clubbing, fighting, she, a girl, did them all. Everyone who heard the story of the boy who cried wolf knows that if you lie too often, no one will believe you even when you tell the truth. Fu Ying explained feebly, "I didn't lie about the money." Fu Ying was taken aback, he did not expect his little sister to be so sincere. He noticed that the little girl seemed to have changed a lot upon his return. There must be something fishy when things are out of the norm. Nice attitude. Fu Ying. Did you do something wrong? Fu Ying, no. Fu Ying tilted his head, looking at her, obviously disbelieving. Did you get called to school for puppy love? Fu Ying. Being chatty during class and got called in? Fu Ying. Did you swear at a teacher and they called your parents? Fu Ying. Got into a fight and your parents were called? Ah. Fu Ying drew out his tone, laughing, I forgot, it's the first day of school today, huh? Were your parents called because you didn't do your winter break homework? Fu Ying shrank a little, not expecting to have actually been guessed right. She shook her head, no, my parents weren't called. Please don't reveal my embarrassment. Saying it privately is one thing, but in front of others? Does she not have any dignity? Fu Ying stole a glance, wanting to quickly sweep over the man's face, just to get a glimpse. To see what expression he had hearing her elder brother speak of her like this. Just as her gaze shifted, it was caught. The man was also looking at her. Fu Ying immediately felt her whole body heat up, wanting to escape from there. Really? Fu Ying questioned. Fu Ying explained, because brother just blocked the soup for me, I saw that his hand was red from the burn, so I wanted to compensate him. The little kid looked embarrassingly close to tears, her expression was truly pitiful. Li Guang reached out and took the candy back from Fu Yi's hand. This is my compensation, why are you taking it? Fu Yi raised an eyebrow, is $50 not as good as this candy? Li Guang didn't bother with Fu Yi, holding the candy in his hand. Candy, brother has accepted it. Fu Yi was in a daze, hugging the loot, while the man was already preparing to enter the room. Before closing the door, she still heard their conversation. Fu Yi, coming back this time, the little girl seems quite well behaved. Before, she was mischievous and wild to the extreme. My mom from Jiangnan, such a gentle woman, she didn't inherit a bit of it. HM? Is that so? Shen Liguang turned his head and glanced at Fu Ying. Accidentally, they made eye contact, and Shen Liguang bent the corners of his eyes towards Fu Ying, smiling and saying, doesn't seem like it. She quickly lowered her head, avoiding his gaze. For the first time, she felt a strange sensation, her face seemed to burn like it did that day. So hot, so warm. Her heart in her chest was also jumping fiercely. Could it be sick? Fu Ying covered her chest with her hand. You shouldn't jump. During the morning reading session, Tan Ruonian asked her about her guardian, and Fu Ying stood in place, fidgeting with her fingers. Tan Ruonian had predicted this, and made a phone call to Fu Mingchuan. She didn't know what Fu Mingchuan said over the phone, but after Tan Ruonian hung up, she made another call. Finally, Tan Ruonian hung up and told her, I have notified your big brother to come over at noon. Her big brother already had a bad impression of her, and now it must be even worse, right? Fu Ying sighed deeply and returned to her seat. At noon, she waited for her big brother at the school gate. But the person who came was that man. Fu Ying looked up at the newcomer, somewhat at a loss. Your big brother got called out on a mission, and I happened to be off duty, so they asked me to come over. Fu Ying nodded, oh. I am Shen Liguang, 25 years old, a graduate of B University, and a firefighter. Fu Ying looked at him with confusion. Shen Liguang chuckled softly, we should get to know each other a bit, right? Otherwise, when the homeroom teacher asks and you can't answer, they'll think you just brought someone randomly to get through it. Introducing himself was his way of getting acquainted. Fu Ying was a bit nervous. My name is Fu Ying, 16 years old, in the first year of high school, class 5. Alright, let's go to your teacher's office. It seemed like he was more familiar with the school than she was. He walked towards the office building without needing her to guide the way. Shen Liguang looked back, wanting to speak with the kid, only to see her just beginning to ascend the stairs, running towards him. Why are you running? Fu Ying stopped in front of him, you're walking too fast. It might have been the difference between now and the past. In her time, women walked very slowly. This habit, she would gradually change in the future. Oh. There was laughter in Shen Liguang's voice. Fu Ying didn't know what he was laughing at, but when he did, his face took on a mischievous air. Shall we go in together? Fu Ying nodded gently, her eyelashes trembling. She didn't say much, her demeanor was demure as she followed the man into the office. Teacher. Seeing Tan Ruonian, Fu Ying called out softly. Who is this? Tan Ruonian knew Fu Ying's dad, as well as her two brothers, but this time, the person she brought was neither her dad nor her brothers. For a second, Fu Ying didn't know how to respond, she wasn't good at lying and looked towards Shen Liguang. Fu Ying's big brother was suddenly called out on a mission and couldn't come, so he asked me to come over. I am, her cousin. The man's voice was deep and slow. Fu Ying thought he was the nicest person she had ever met, with the most pleasant voice she had ever heard. Cousin? Tan Ruonian was skeptical, sizing up Shen Liguang. Fu Ying nodded, stuttering as she lied, yes, he's my cousin, named Shen Liguang, 25 years old, graduated from B University, and is a firefighter. Nervous, Fu Ying blurted out everything about Shen Liguang's introduction. It had the tinge of protesting too much. Tan Ruonian was not fooled, knowing that Fu Ying had just brought someone to bluff her way through, but seeing her timid appearance, he didn't make a big deal out of it. Compared to Fu Ying's panic, Shen Liguang, in his first time pretending to be someone's guardian, appeared quite calm. Teacher, what kind of trouble has she gotten into? Oh, it's like this. Tan Ruonian took out several homework books and showed them to Shen Liguang. You see, a whole month of vacation, and not a single word has been written in the homework. Shen Liguang flipped through the homework books. Spotlessly clean, the young girl probably liked cleanliness. The homework books were cleaner than her face, likely not touched at all during the entire winter break. Fu Ying's face flushed, unable to utter a word. A bit embarrassing. Sorry, teacher, I'll take these winter vacation homework books home and make sure she completes them. There's more. This isn't over yet. Tan Ruonian took out the final exam results. His finger deliberately slid from top to bottom, as if it was difficult to find Fu Ying's ranking. Actually, it's not hard at all, as she's ranked last. Found it. Look at these results. Can she even get into a university in the future? Shen Liguang looked at the pitifully low scores and turned back to glance at the little girl. Fu Ying bit her lip and buried her head even deeper. Now all face was lost. Even though she wasn't the one who took the test, Fu Ying was. Clear in her heart, she would do even worse. I'll tutor her myself. Sorry for troubling you, teacher. Tan Ruonian saw that Shen Liguang's attitude was pretty good, and his anger subsided. But still troubled by Fu Ying's headache-inducing grades, he couldn't help but nag a little. With these grades, she doesn't even meet the minimum college entrance score. If students don't study hard, we teachers also get anxious, and you parents also have to put in more effort. Shen Liguang nodded. Yes, I will discuss this with her father when I get home and educate her properly. Tan Ruonian sipped his tea and nodded. I've said what I had to say. You parents should supervise her. You graduated from a key university, so help her out when you can. With a bit more hard work and perseverance, she might barely make it to university. Shen Liguang nodded. Thank you for the trouble, teacher. Ah, Tan Ruonian waved his hand. It's nothing, it's nothing. As her homeroom teacher, I definitely need to pay more attention to my students' academic performance. Yes, thank you, teacher. Then we won't disturb you any longer. Fu Ying followed behind Shen Liguang out of the office, unsure of what to say. You need to study hard, otherwise you really won't be able to get into university. When they left the school gate, Shen Liguang turned back to look at the little girl. Fu Ying kept her head down, following behind him. Unaware that the person in front stopped, she bumped right into him. She rubbed her nose in embarrassment and stepped back repeatedly. Did you hear what I just said to you? Fu Ying nodded. I will study hard from now on. Watch where you're going in the future. Fu Ying, I understand. Have you eaten? Fu Ying shook her head, feeling a bit hungry and slightly embarrassed. No. Let's go get something to eat. Thank you. Fu Ying followed behind Shen Liguang, glancing back every 3 steps, dazzled by the array of shops along the street. She didn't know of these things in the Imperial Palace. If not for an accident that brought her here, she would never have known there was such a place outside the Imperial Palace. When Shen Liguang turned around, he saw the little girl standing at the entrance of a jewelry store, looking up. Want something? Fu Ying paused, looked at him, and asked softly, Can I? Shen Liguang nodded, yes. Fu Ying pointed at a small white pearl hairpin, very politely, May I have this one? Seeming afraid he would overspend, the girl quickly added, I didn't bring any money, next time we meet I'll pay you back. Brother will give it to you. Shen Liguang bent his lips slightly, picked up the hairpin, and paid. Fu Ying received the hairpin, the pearl gleaming in the midday sun. She nodded her head, expressed her thanks, thank you. In the evening, Fu Ying was packing her school bag. Li Hani asked her, Boss, do you want to go out and have some fun? Anyway, evening self-study hasn't started yet, why not seize the chance to play for a few more days? Where to have fun? Fu Ying raised her eyes and looked out the window, seeing the high-rise buildings outside. She had been here for over a month, spending the first half in the hospital and the latter half mostly staying at home, never going out to play. She found this place very interesting, completely different from the Imperial Palace. She felt apprehensive inside. Is there any fun place? The usual spot. Li Hani hung his head, muttering, Boss, you couldn't really have fried your brain, right? Why have you changed so much? You don't seem like yourself at all. Another boy, De Yong, also gathered around and said, Right, boss, can't you bring out your former prestige? Take us to fight. Fu Ying knew what the original Fu Ying was like. Anyway, she was very different. It was hard for Fu Ying to imitate her personality and create problems everywhere. A person can change anything, even their personality, it just takes time. She was a princess raised with affection inside the deep palace, but she had seen manipulations and scheming. Her mother had protected her well. With many rules in the palace, one who is confined too long will always yearn for freedom. She originally thought that Father Emperor loved her and she would be worry-free, at least in terms of marriage. She could marry the man she liked, but unexpectedly, Father Emperor wanted to send her off for a marriage alliance. "Boss, are you coming or not?" Du Yang's voice brought Fu Ying back to the moment, her fingers pinching the strap of the school bag, shaking her head. "I don't provoke others if they do not provoke me, forget about fighting." Hearing this, Du Yang looked incredulous. "Boss, you didn't used to say this, you told us before to fight whoever we dislike, since your family has money and can afford to compensate." Such thoughts, these values, no wonder her two older brothers didn't like her much. Despite being the youngest at home and should be the most pampered, instead, Fu Ying always causes trouble, making her brothers feel a headache at the sight of her. Yearning for freedom has nothing to do with fighting. She shook her head. "No thanks, you guys go ahead." Fu Yan watched Fu Ying talking and laughing with the two boys, frowning deeply. No wonder no one came out when waiting at the door for so long, they were still lingering around the school. Indeed, still up to no good, just a bit older and already talking about love. Watch him not going home and telling Dad. Beside him, Ying Haoyang jokingly said, "Your little sister is quite pretty." Fu Yan scowled. "Put away your sleazy thoughts, she's only 16 years old. Sooner or later she will grow up." Fu Yan cursed silently and yelled toward the classroom, "What are you still doing not going home?" The impatient voice at the door made Fu Ying turn her head and realize her little brother had come. She quickly packed up her school bag and waved goodbye to Du Yong and Li Hani. "My little brother is here, I have to go first. Next time take me out with you." Du Yong and Li Hani, who were familiar with Fu Ying's little brother, had been frightened by Fu Yan numerous times. They immediately slung their school bags and sneaked out the back door. "Is it puppy love?" Before Fu Ying reached the door, the impatient Fu Yan directly walked up to her, roughly grabbing her school uniform. Fu Ying bit her lip, the fabric of her clothes hurting her. Brother, I didn't." "It better not be." Fu Yan threatened viciously, "If I find out, I will tell Dad." Fu Ying's impression of her two brothers was based on the previous Fu Ying's feelings. However, from her interaction, she realized that her little brother Fu Yan had a bit of a violent temper, bullying her at the slightest disagreement. "Fu Yan, be a bit kinder to your little sister. How old is she? How old are you?" A 20-year-old man, only knowing how to bully your sister. Ying Haoyang couldn't stand it any longer.